lives. Bravely we prove in our striving, trudging together each day. Where there's a will, there's a way.
The views and opinions expressed on Trudging Together are solely those of the host, co-host, and our guests. They do not necessarily reflect the views of any organization, fellowship, or other entity, and definitely not your boss, your neighbor, or that one guy in your home group. The content of this program is not intended to replace medical, psychological, or professional advice. If you're looking for that, please seek guidance from qualified professionals who spent way too many years in school. What you'll hear here is based on lived experience, recovery journeys, and the occasional bad coffee-fueled joke. Trudging Together is not affiliated with any 12-step fellowship. We are simply people sharing our stories and walking this path together, one day at a time. Thank you for joining us, and remember, recovery is serious business, but that doesn't mean we can't laugh along the way.
Hello. 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 I should probably be doing other things. I don't have that much to do. A little bit of cleaning. Yeah, I call T-Mobile. I'm going to switch my internet. Internet. I'm going to 10th step here real quick. I am so tired of... okay. You know what? I'm not going to go that route with it. Nah. Let's just say I need some finalization for some things. And I've been trying to work with this company 4 years now, and they don't want to improve. They don't want to. I don't know the best way to put it because I'm kind of angry. Which is why I have not written the email, because I'm still kind of angry. I'm not kind of angry. I'm just angry at them. I mean, so I'm just figuring out how to word this email. It's uncool, man. It is what they're doing. It ain't right. But, yep, it is what it is. So I'm just going to make a clear line. Welcome to my boundaries. We're done. So, all right. So this is coming out of Language of the Heart. It is a grapevine reading called Where Willpower Comes In, May 1962. Now, we talk about willpower, and usually what we say about willpower is that we have none. And that's not totally true. I have willpower for a lot of things. It didn't take much the other day when I told my wife, don't buy me any more bakery. And like what I was saying, my diabetes screamed. It's like, no, I want it. And, you know, because when I don't have that stuff around, I don't even notice. I mean, it's like, oh, man, good. Oh, I don't have any. And that's like it. It's over with. But when it's around, I'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and eat 7 powdered donuts. All right. So when it's available, gosh, it's really easy to go after. But when it's not around, I don't eat it. I don't fret about it. So try to get rid of sugar. So let's go ahead and read this. Let's do it. Welcome to the Daily Trudge. Dion, host, person, most, and stuff. Please say hello, whether you're watching the live or the rewatch. Let's get into this. I have no idea what it's going to talk about. I have not read this before. So, where Willpower Comes In, May 1962. There has always been a lot of confusion about this matter of exerting the will. When the 12 steps say we admitted we are powerless over alcohol, we assert what has always been the fact about the malady, namely that a frontal attack by the will on the desire to drink almost never works. It says almost never works. Maybe it works for some people, but I know For me, no. And the harder I fought it, the more I fought it, the worse it got. Yeah. You got to fight this disease. No, you don't. That's exactly what you should not do. And I hear people saying, you could fight addiction, beat addiction. No. See, that doesn't work. That doesn't work, non-alcoholics. Okay? This hard fact is the premise upon which we must start. The recognition that actual lunacy cannot be subdued by straight willpower. God knows drunks have tried hard enough to do just this and have generally failed. Nobody would expect much where every kleptomaniac to take a pledge not to steal. Respecting stealing, the kleptomaniac is compulsively nutty as he can be. Though the compulsive condition is not so generally recognized in the alcoholic because drinking is socially acceptable, it is nevertheless true that he is just about as crazy. Therefore, our first step is realistic when it declares that we are powerless to deal with the alcohol hex on our own resources or will. Yes, we need help. It takes a tribe to get somebody and keep somebody sober. I know. I'm one of them. All right. But even at AA's first step, ask for willingness. So instead of using our willpower, we're going to use our willingness. And because willingness comes into acceptance with what the problem is, the actual problem. And in the beginning, the problem is we got to get the hooch out of you. We got to get the alcohol out of you. That's our first problem. That's the first hurdle that we need to get over. And it took willpower for you to try and do that. Absolutely it did. But it was more willingness to try something new. It was the willingness, not the willpower in that case. You're now willing to try it because the consequences have gone beyond what you anticipated. And I understand that. I've been there. But that's only a starter. All the rest of AA's 12 step require both willingness and willpower. They certainly deal in religious and moral values. Yes. Right. What do you think it was when you resisted throat punching that person that pissed you off? What do you think it was? Do you think it was willingness? No, it was willpower. It was willpower that did that. A set of morals, right? What was the set of morals? For what we say is, that's going to land you in jail. But what about the person you're hurting? What about that person? See, we think of ourselves only. Well, I didn't punch him because I didn't want to go to jail. Well, how about the fact that you don't want to hurt someone? Are we taking that into account? All right. So let's think on this a little bit more. For example, we must acquire the willingness to take a moral inventory. Right? We have to acquire the willingness, but it takes willpower to do it. Willingness will not write your fourth step. Willpower will. Yes. Yeah, willpower. Well, even today, we did a fifth step. I I love doing fifth steps. I like watching the fog fade, and by the end, they're just like, wow, 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 and you can see that they're looking at the world differently. I love it. I was talking with a sponsee, and he's like, something had happened, and the thought of drinking was coming up. He was going to his parents' house, so he decided to take a different route. He said it took me a little bit longer, but I made the decision to take a different route. What was that? What was that? That was not willingness. That was willpower. He made a decision, and that decision gave him the willpower. Hi, Amber. Said, just saw this. I was making a video. Yeah. Well, this is the best time to make them. We've been doing stuff. Yeah. Anyway, good. Get them done. All right. So it took willpower. It did. Where'd he get it from? Me, you, higher power, the people in his lives. I stole mine too. Mine, plus the accountability that goes with it. Well, I don't want to go. I don't, and then you don't want to lose your time. Look at all these great things, all these great reasons to not drink. These are fantastic reasons. Nah. So, let's take more. This much accomplished, we then must needs muster the gumption to actually do that. Gumption. Been a while since I had got to say the word gumption. It's a fun word. Gumption. All right. Just pardon me, I'm just over here stemming. I stem a lot. So if I break out into song, I do. I can't help it. But if anybody says electric, I got a boogie woogie woogie. I got it. If I don't say it out loud, I'm saying it in my head, boogie woogie woogie. Last night, somebody said, "Have you heard of the word?" And oh no. Because that one will set me off. I have to take all the willpower I have not to sing that song out loud. Okay. Now, before when I was drinking, I didn't have the willpower. And for hours, I would walk behind my wife. "Oh, have you heard the word?" "Well, the bird's the word." We talked about this last night. All right. I it takes all the willpower I can muster, right? All the gumption I can muster to not do it. All right. We can become willing to believe that this efficacy of AA's 12 step, carrying the message to others. But if we are aroused from sleep at 12 o'clock at night to make a 12 step call, well, the actual making of that visit may call for a considerable amount of willpower. Yes. All right. Another example. It is especially required of the atheist and agnostic that he become open minded on the subject of God. This seems to require considerable exertion indeed. If then we suggest that he address himself to whatever God there may be in meditation and prayer, he usually finds this takes a lot of discipline to do, even as an experiment. Yeah, there we are. Now what else? Let's see. Now we have willpower, we have exertion, and we have gumption. These all mean the same thing. You had to exert your willpower in order to get that done, in order to pray for the first time. Remember when you first came in and you saw all the sayings on the wall and you laughed at them? You did. You did. We all did. We all thought the same thing. Well, those are just stupid. Those are moronic. Thinking's my problem. What do you mean one day at a time? That's me not understanding. Why was I getting angry? Because I didn't understand it and it made me feel stupid. And when I feel stupid, I get angry. That's why. That's why we get angry. There's a fear that those sayings weren't going to work for us, or fear that we were going to have to follow those sayings. We all did it. Yeah. All right. The net result of willingness and will as applied to the life problem in general does not eventuate in release from the desire to drink, thereby getting around any heavy exertion of willpower on alcohol problem itself. Precisely why this release comes to the most of us and is totally unexplained. All right. It was unexplainable to me. I came home from the detox for the last time, and the obsession was gone. It was just gone. I no longer wanted to drink. It was like that for me. Now, you might think that that is a sudden spiritual experience. It took me 4 years to get there. There was nothing sudden about it. It's just one day I'd had that was it. It was over with. The obsession was gone. I'd just gotten out of detox and I no longer wanted to drink. And since that time, I have not had a compulsion to drink. Not one. Because when Dion gets a compulsion drink, it's over with. I can't handle it. How some of you folks do that, I have no idea. I don't. Right? We are restored to sanity provided we condition ourselves for the gift of restoration. Huh. See? You're preparing yourself for a gift, and that gift is restoration. Or to put it in religious terms, to the inflow of God's grace, which results in the expulsion of the obsession. All right. It didn't sound that religion-y to me. All right. We become willing. Ah, we become willing to let God remove it. That's when it happens. Did you think it was up to God? No, he was waiting on you to make a decision. That was it. See, I had finally made the decision after 4 years. Okay, I don't want it anymore. And from that fucking moment, it was gone. Released. Perfect release. Didn't hate it, didn't want it, didn't love it. I became neutral. Now, this has happened that had happened to me before, so I knew it could happen. All right. Because of this. This isn't my first rodeo. Nor does it seem to matter how we define God's grace. All right. Because the grace might be different for you. Yay. You get what you want. It's kind of nice. We alcoholics need to get what we want. It's just that we need to make our wants your higher power's will first. And then that'll start to happen. We can still claim, if we like, that we have tapped a hidden or an unusual inner resource. We don't need to actually define just where that came from. Or we can believe, as most of us finally do, that we have tapped the resource of God as he exists in us and in the cosmos generally. None of us can presume to know exactly how this is. I don't know how it is. I don't need to know how anymore either. I know it works because I have experienced it over and over and over and over again. Yeah. It's cool. And it is an inner resource. All right. The sponsor I was working with earlier, he told me that story about, I wanted to drink, so I went a different route. Right. And he was very proud of himself and should be. Great decision. I'm like, I'm like, it is cool to watch because I've been giving you these skills. I've been teaching you these skills, right? And you had a Karate Kid moment. It just happened. You knew what to do. You suddenly realized that God was doing for you what you could not do for yourself. And then I had him read the third step promises so that it felt true for him. Yeah, he deserves it. And now he's having a great fucking day. It feels really nice when you finish that 4 step and then you get to do, and then you sit down with your sponsor, do your 5th step, and they're like, okay, you're on 8 now. What? Right? You get that 5, 6, 7. What? It's so cool. Okay, you're done with 6. Go do 7. Love you. Right? Of course, I do not mean to say that no willpower respecting the alcohol problem is ever to be used. During my first couple of years, I had 2 or 3 uh, severe temptations to drink. But having practiced the AA program pretty faithfully, I was fully able to see the consequences of doing so at that time. I was tempted. Now, that was not necessarily willpower, that was an understanding. All right. But he did utilize his willingness. This is what happened. Bill was 6 months sober, and he'd already tried all the other ways. A lot of you probably already know this story. Okay. He was in Akron on business, which fell through. It did not work. And he didn't even know how he was going to pay his hotel tab. Okay. He goes back to the hotel, down and out, wanting to drink. And then he was presented with choices. He was given two choices. He could hear the bar, the clinking of the glasses, the joviality, the laughing, the smell. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's like you're drawn to it. It's like those cartoons where somebody smells something, they smell it, and they get all lifted up in the air and fall, it's like that, isn't it? Yeah. The other choice was the church directory right in front of him. He decided, and he had to exert every amount of willpower he had to call the church directory. And he did. It's a great example. Then he met Dr. Bob, and that was the beginning of AA. Right? See, he knew that when he was tempted, that work with another alcoholic would save the day. Not only did it save the day, it saved your life. It saved my life. Okay? These are the ripple effects. Your sobriety today might get somebody sober 40 years from now. You don't know. You don't know. The usual blinding rationalizations were not present. I had been restored to sanity respecting alcohol. I nevertheless had to make a choice. But under these conditions, it was not hard, and the choice did not require a certain modicum of willpower or of willingness to choose rightly. So what he's saying, I got it wrong then, because what he's saying is it didn't take either one of these. It was just the obvious choice because of what he had been taught. That's even better. You know what that means? It means the muscle memory is working. That he didn't have to think about it for too long to get to the right answer. Unsuspecting inner resource. Kind of glad I was wrong on that. So we had another example, right? I think this exercise of will is appropriate and necessary during the intervals in which one is developing a general release from the problem. But a general and complete release is quite possible after considerable practice of AA's program. I know because I have been under enormous emotional strain since AA started. Let's finish this. Okay. I had a neurotic depression that lasted from 1943 until 1955. That is 12 years. One from which I never fully surfaced. About 3 years of this was suicidal. So he harmed himself. But the release from alcohol had been so thorough that I was never tempted during this long siege to resort to drink. That gives us hope. That gives us hope. Well, I'm depressed too. We can get through it. Bill did. Bob did. A lot of people did. And they were free. And they had a great life. You can too. All right. But this right here, I know because I have been under enormous strain since AA started. Now, I know a lot of people, okay, we're alcoholic and we all want to be head duck, okay? There are people out there that want to be the next, I'm going to be the next Bill, I'm going to be the next AA, we're going to be the next. No, you're not. I don't think I would wanted to be in that position. You know how much pressure that is? Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, First 100. Thank you, significant others of those first 100. Thank you. Because if it wasn't for all of them, you and I would not be here. We wouldn't. The, the only reason that we talk about Bill and Bob and that they're the founders is because people need it for some reason. Right? But they were not seeking to be that person. If you're seeking to be that person, you're doing it in the recovery field, man, you're in for a surprise. Right? Just like Amber and I were talking about some of the things because I'm trying to get more listeners, things like that. And there are some things I don't want to do because it feels more like promotion than attraction because it's in the recovery field. Now, if it was something else, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But in recovery, I want to be a little bit more careful, a little bit more thoughtful, have a little bit of humility in it. Got it, man. All right. One last paragraph. So, this is the substance of the AA party line as I happen to see it. But please be assured you do not necessarily have to see it in the same way. No, you don't. It's the getting there that matters. Okay, it's the doing it that matters, right? There is no try. There is only do. Dude, that's 2 weeks in a row. Oh, all right. Okay. We met. Okay. Doesn't matter. It's his kid's birthday party. We can wait a week. I'm not gonna be like, well, if you were serious about this, you would meet with me, right? And he didn't ask. He told, hey, I'm gonna have to skip tomorrow. All right. Tells me where we're at in our relationship. He's done with the steps. He doesn't. Yeah. It's not like it's not like he's trying to, get out of his fourth or fifth step because he's not. So, and actually that works. All right. All right. So you don't have to see it the same way. Plenty of people differ with me and yet remain sober. Wow. Nevertheless, the experience of most of us seems to back up what I have just said. Those who try to work the program in other ways and who succeed by doing so are, in my belief, staying dry the hard way. And I would agree with that. AA's orthodoxy, if it can be called that, is merely what the majority experience suggests. You can still take your pick. And you can. Take your pick. Right? But I have found that this way seems to work best for me. Considering everything that I am, even my therapist tells me, it's like, Dion, you are very different from a lot of people. You literally bring up your own problems. It's just, I'm not scared of them anymore. I'm not. God has had my back every step of the way. Every step of the way. I get everything that I want. Even yesterday, I got what I wanted. I wanted Resident Evil Requiem. I didn't think we had the money, and my wife came and said, we got the money. Go ahead and get it. Happy anniversary. And I got what I wanted. But I had already resigned to the fact that I was going to have to wait. And I was all right with that. I was okay with that. But as soon as she said, sure, we can go ahead and get it, she started talking. She's like, oh, never mind. I can hear it. Like, blink, 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 blink. And she's like, oh, and you'll have to use this card. I'm like, too late. I already bought it. It was too late. I'm like, but you have my card. So, no worries. So, see, sometimes we do get what we want, even when it doesn't necessarily apply to recovery. These are gifts from God, from our significant others, things like that. Right. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I appreciate it. If you like what we do here, please like, love, and share. We take donations because we like to be self-supporting. Venmo is at Trudging Together. Cash App, Dion G. Miller. Every little bit helps. I love you. You know I do. Peace out.